Do I really have to do this? My Little Monster starts with a girl named Shizuku Mizutani, a girl who deals with life by repressing her emotions and trusting no one but herself. Her main focus in life is schoolwork and one day becoming financially independent. So, we have a teenage, headstrong girl who actually focuses more than just on boys and whatever else teenage girls think about. I don't really know. She's practical, headstrong, and of course, for some reason, that calls for a life-changing romantic lead. Yeah. Enter Haru Yoshida, a boy that goes through life led by his emotions, which honestly would not be a problem if it were not for his deep rage issues, to the point that he has attacked and nearly killed several people. And he's not in jail because anime. Because of this, people are obviously afraid of him, but poor Haru just wants friendship and a normal high school life. Because of course high school's supposed to be the best time of your life, where everything's perfect and you make lifelong friendships. Yeah. Seeing that Mizutani doesn't fear him, he attaches himself to her, hoping to...
なんかドキドキする。
は？
俺、雫が好きかも。
え？それは友達的な意味で。
性的な意味で。
I guess that show continues with Haru's various attempts to make friends and Mizutani slowly breaking out of her shell. So it's a romance. It's a slice of life / shoujo, and it is seasoned with pounds of girly pheromones. There's no hiding this. The utter cuteness of this show is clearly displayed in the opening. If you can't handle that bubblegum pop of a song, this is not the show for you. Sure, the show's funny. Sure, it has an overall friendship theme, which just screams. But this is definitely a show geared toward the more tender-hearted audience. So if you can't imagine yourself handling the 12-episode high school romantic dramedy that is My Little Monster, then please locate your nearest exit and calmly evacuate this page, because everything after this moment is going to be filled with mushy, gooey girliness. I'll wait. So for those of you interested in what this show has in store, or really those of you brave enough, I must say this here and now. This show tests my patience in the most fascinating of ways. My Little Monster is an example of all that I hate and like in the shoujo genre, and even makes me question my own mental state. But let's leave my possible insanity for later, because now's the time to discuss characters. Because really, that's what all shoujo slice of life anime are. It's characters put in a situation honestly doing mundane things, so most of the entertainment comes from the characters. And if you don't like them, well, you're up a creek without a paddle. My Little Monster has several characters, and they're all likable enough, but for the purpose of this review, there are only really two characters that actually need focus. Our romantic leads, Haru and Mizutani. Mizutani, as explained before, is a headstrong, capable girl, and is honestly in several ways a breath of fresh air. JoJo is more often than not crowded with the same Mary Jane type characters that are adorable, kind, and usually not too bright. And though this isn't essentially a bad character, it is definitely overdone and easily done wrong, which is why Mizutani is likable. Her utter disinterest in human relationships is honestly cool in my book. Often in these shows, the main character doesn't have friends because they can't make them, people find them unapproachable, or they don't easily trust others. And though this is all true in Mizutani's case, she truthfully just doesn't want or need them. She sees people as a hindrance to her set goals that she's made in life. She doesn't hate people, she just sees the world in a practical way, and her actions are solely based on her set goals in life. Therefore, extraneous things like friends and romantic relationships make little to no sense in the grand scheme of things, and in this way she's not heartless or cold, just realistic, and in numerous ways, admirable. Her commitment to her lifestyle and goals may seem unrealistic to many, but in several ways I find her almost robotic nature more relatable than the overly cute moe princesses out there. And of course throughout the show she does gain more human qualities, and her little Grinchly heart grows to accept more human contact. But in the end, she still keeps to her beliefs and mindset in a far more realistic way than other shows handle such characters. Essentially, she doesn't change, but she becomes more open to things, and it's a decently done character arc. I wholeheartedly enjoyed her, and she was definitely worth the watch. And then there was him. Haru is more of the orthodox of shoujo protagonists. He's cute, he's fun, he's smart, he's full of life, and has a sense of justice. Couple this with his violent history, and he becomes the misunderstood bad boy who just needs love and kindness to— Whoa! We just went Hadouken up in here! You want cheese with that knuckle sandwich? Insert more snappy puns here. Violent history may be an understatement, at least when in the category of shoujo. There have been many of the tough guy types in anime, and several in shoujo to make all the fangirls squeal, but usually they have certain qualities to make them decent people. They have a strong sense of justice, protect the weak, have a softer side, don't hit women. Remember when I said that this show tests my patience? Well, here's the reason. Haru suffers from severe anger management issues that honestly need some serious therapy to properly treat. You see, when making these bad boy types in shoujos, there is a very, very thick, distinct line that one can cross, that being a soft side and misunderstandings. This means that the character has to have a personality trait that gives them a more sensitive quality. This trait could be a love for something that's considered a bit more feminine, such as stuffed animals or sewing. This trait can also take the form of deeply caring for an admirable idea or person, i.e. they may want to teach kids or really care for their mother. Additionally, the general public within the show has to fully misinterpret the character in order to make them seem bad. And the key word in here is seem. The characters are never truly bad people. Their actions just put them in a bad light, and a deeper look into their lives would reveal them to be decent people in bad situations. Because if they were really bad people who intentionally do bad things, there's no reason to root for them getting the girl because they'd be unlikable and abusive. Think about it. If Kyo was really the tough guy who beat up everybody he met with little to no morals, he would not have fangirls. Well, he'd have fangirls, but not for the same reasons, and not as many. People liked him because he had an honorable and cute character underneath his gruff demeanor. He didn't fight weaker people because he understood that his strength could hurt people. In fact, that's the truth with most of these tough guy characters. They're really just lovable teddy bears. Of course, there are deviants to this criteria, but they're usually found in other genres and never do. Haru, on the other hand, lacks control. Yes, he usually fights to protect others. Yes, he is a nice person, but he doesn't understand the extent of his strength and is one-track minded. When he's angry, and he does nothing to control this anger. Sure, he's mad because someone got hurt, but that doesn't change the fact that he created really intense CSI-worthy blood splatters, and the perpetrators of the original crime are an inch away from death because they picked on a freshman. Yeah, that's okay. Really, Haru has the innocent mindset of a child, but the body of a man and the strength of 10. Unlike a child, he lacks self-control, so he's gonna throw a tantrum that can potentially kill people. He's really a ticking time bomb. Couple that with his strong possessive nature, and he is probably a more realistic portrayal of his character type, but ultimately this makes for an abusive relationship. Sure, he never purposely hits Mizutani, he always does it inadvertently, but he does it enough for it to be a problem. And he's never really sorry for his actions because once again, he's in a fit of rage at this moment. He's not in his right mind and because of that is liable to do anything, which is a problem. In fact, in the beginning, Mizutani rightfully fears him and she has every reason to, especially when he does stuff like this.
動くな。サーグドを犯す。よし。行くぞ。
And this is all in the first episode. But it's all okay because afterwards they find a dog he was trying to help. Yeah. Of course, Mizutani doesn't take this lying down and often stands up to him later on, but that's still not enough to make up for his actions. And he doesn't really change this throughout the arc of the show. He becomes slightly calmer, but he is still prone to violent outbursts, and it makes it awkward to root for him when he has such an easily changeable Jekyll and Hyde personality that's not ignorable. Therefore, this show portrays an abusive relationship and has no problem with that. This show is, once again, a slice of life, so it probably was not trying to address any serious subject matters. It was trying to be cute. I mean, when you have an opening like this, what do you expect? And for the most part, it is cute. It's adorable. It did what I expected, and it actually did it pretty well. Sure, it went through the normal romantic anime tropes that usually annoy me, but because of the enjoyable characters, and especially Mizutani, these normally annoying situations were well handled. The love triangles, the easily avoidable misunderstandings, and the predictable progressions of their romance was all surprisingly not annoying. The reason for this, once again, would probably be because of Mizutani. Due to her blunt view on life, she usually takes the normal shoujo cliches and handles them in a more practical and an honestly more agreeable way than most shoujo protagonists. Which does make the whole Haru thing more noticeable in comparison. It's just really hard to ignore. Animation is standard. The show uses very vivid colors, and surprisingly the backgrounds have a nice use of shadows and light. It's pretty pleasing to the eye, but nothing extraordinary. The character designs are probably the most eye-catching, but for the most part they're cute, complete with fluffy hair and almost cat-like eyes. Their movement, however, is stiff. There are a lot of still shots and the most motion comes from the characters' mouths. Though this is normally expected from slice of life anime, it would have done a world of good to give the characters even a slightly wider range of motion. The music really is the weakest of the show. Other than the earworm of an opening and ending, the songs rely on calming string and piano tunes, a lot of which sound the same, other than one or two songs which are still very forgettable. Everything feels like really generic elevator music that can easily be substituted into any other show. The soundtrack doesn't do much to complement the story and fades so easily to the background that one can simply forget that it's there. This, of course, is a total contrast to the voice acting. The show currently isn't dubbed, and judging by the year it came out, it probably never will. And once again, I don't speak Japanese, so I am not the best person to judge their acting. But I really enjoyed Haru Katamatsu as Mizutani. This is a very easy character to get wrong, since her disinterest in fellow humans can easily be mistaken for cold-heartedness, which would have made for a rather boring interpretation. However, Haruka was able to get the proper balance of the aloof and straightforward attitude that Mizutani possesses and really drives every line home in this regard and makes for a delightful performance. So overall, I guess the show can be enjoyable. Though the animation and music is average to a somewhat noticeable point, the story and characters make for an entertaining experience. Nothing here is groundbreaking, but what's good here is good and makes this worth the watch. if it wasn't for the elephant in the room called Haru. It's really hard to fully like a show that so willingly supports such an unstable character so easily. And all honestly, the kid needs help, like serious Dr. Phil type stuff, because his violent nature is far too distracting to the anime. I can see what they were going for with him and can tell it never intentionally wanted to make him a woman beater, but it still makes me really, truly uncomfortable a lot of the times during the show. I just can't fully recommend a show that blatantly supports an abusive relationship so easily. On top of that, the ending leaves a lot to be desired. It really seems that creators were originally hoping for a second season, so a lot of the loose ends were left untied and the audience was left with a sad, unsatisfied feeling. So it would be best not to expect much from the show as to not get your hopes up. But what's good here is good, but that does not warrant the enigma that is Haru, who so strongly tests my patience every episode. I mean, we all have that anime character we want to hit, but Mizutani is not one of them. So no. Stop it. It also doesn't make up for the lack of an ending. So really, what I have to recommend is if you're interested, watch an episode and see for yourself. But as for me, rating the show based on plot, characters, animation, music, and my overall enjoyment along with my discomfort, I give My Little Monster 7 psychologists out of 10. If you watch the show and want something like it, I point you in the direction of Fruits Basket, Princess Jellyfish, or Maid Sama. I'm Brasley101, ending this episode because...
Hadouken!
Hey, Brasley101 here. Just saying, if you like that video, punch that thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos, why don't you subscribe? I have more, and I put out content. And if you liked My Little Monster, or you didn't, why don't you put it in the comments? Want me to do a specific review? Why don't you put it in the comments? I'm open to anything. And if you don't want to, well, it's your life. Do what you want. Because we live in a society where I believe we should do what we want, when we want. So do that. Believe in yourself.